Satya Skills. In this video, let us learn something about joint account, its features, and what are the responsibilities of bank in this regard. Joint account holders are other special type of customers to a bank because they require different type of treatment of the account. We already learned something about special types of customers with regard to minors you learned in the previous video. Now let us look into the joint account. Joint account is an account opened by more than one person. It is operated, checks are drawn and amount is deposited jointly. Banker can open a joint account only at the request of the joint account holders. He should get duly filled in application signed by all the persons interested in opening the bank account. After receiving the application, banker should inquire about the following and get directions in written form signed by all the members. First one, how the joint account is to be operated. Who takes the responsibility of withdrawing money? Who deals with matters such as bill transaction, etc.? Who can apply for advances? At the time of opening of the account, banker should obtain specific directions with regard to the above issues. In the absence of such directions, banker can honor checks signed by all the holders of the account whose names appear in the application. Some banks insist that all the joint account holders should sign a comprehensive authority covering all possible transactions to avoid future problems. Some banks take a separate agreement which includes very specially the directions to the bank, and it should be signed by all the members. It is important that bankers should concentrate in a special way on the following provisions. First one is insolvency of joint account holder. Remember that joint account is opened by more than one person. So group of people will be there. If one of the joint account holder declares insolvency, the account comes to an end. Payment from the account should be made on the joint direction of the trustee of the insolvent account holder and the solvent party. The rule of survivorship is not applicable in this particular case, that is, in the case of insolvency. If the joint account shows debit balance, banker should close the account and open a new one to make the estate of the insolvent liable. Then, death of the one of the joint account holders. If one of the joint account holders dies, the rule of survivorship is applicable. After death of the holder, banker closes the old agreement and obtains a new agreement for operation of the account. Then drawing of checks. Banker should take clear instructions about the name of the person who can draw checks. Banker takes the person's signature whose name is mentioned in the agreement as specimen signature. The authority to draw will be revoked on the insolvency and death of the person. Power to overdraw. Bank should obtain instructions whether the person authorized to draw checks will also have the power to overdraw the account, like overdraft facility. If the same person is authorized to overdraw, the banker must make it joint and several liability because it is a joint account. Joint and several liability facilitates the banker to proceed against all members or any one of them to realize the debts. Then survivorship. At the time of account opening, banker also requests them to mention in the mandate about the survivorship. In general, on death of one of the joint account holders, the survivor is entitled to the whole amount. A banker need not deal with the representative of the deceased person. It is a general rule. As a practice, the name of the deceased person will be removed and a new mandate is signed. To avoid future problems, banker ascertain the directions from the account holders about the operation of the account and distribution of the balance amount in the deposit account, etc. If the survivors are entitled to get the balance, they include the clause either a survivor or former or survivor. Operation of account by third party. Joint account holders can delegate jointly the authority to operate the account to a third person whose name is not in the list of account holders. He is an outsider, but he is definitely not an account holder. Then nomination facility. All the joint account holders may nominate a person to whom the amount should be paid on the event of death of all of them. It is given under the Section 45A of Banking Regulation Act 1949. Bank can make payment to such nominees. Other matters. The agreement between banker and joint account holders should make it clear with regard to the other related issues such as who can withdraw the securities in the safe custody on the joint account, who can pledge the securities belonging to the joint account. Joint account in the name of wife and husband. Joint account in the name of both wife and husband is also a part of this joint account. It is either a survivor, banker can pay the balance amount to the other person on the event of death of one of them. If nothing is mentioned, it can be paid to the wife. But if a legal representative interferes, then the banker should refer case to the court. In the absence of any provision of the doctrine of survivorship, the amount is transferred to the estate of deceased husband and not to the widow. It was very clearly stated in the Marshall case. When an account is opened for the convenience of husband, the balance in the joint account cannot be withdrawn by his widow. To avoid confusion and disputes, bankers should obtain clear instructions such as either a surveyor, etc., at the time of account opening itself.